Did you know 33% of all IELTS speaking tests include questions about your studies? So what does that mean? It means you have to be totally ready to answer those questions if you want to get a high score. In this video, we'll look at the most common IELTS speaking questions about your studies. We'll see some great vocabulary and some full Band 9 sample answers. So let's get started. There are three main categories of questions about your studies, and we're going to see them one by one. But the first question the examiner will ask you is more simple. They'll say, so let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student? And the answer to that is just very simple. It doesn't need many sentences. You can just say, I'm a student. Of course, if you're not a student, if you have a job, then you would say, I work. And we have a whole video to help you to answer those questions, and that's just up here. So the first category of question is about your major itself. The most simple question they can ask you is, what do you study? But there are lots of different ways to say this. They could say, what are you currently studying? What is your area of study? What is your major? What subject are you studying? And they all mean the same thing, but you have to be ready for any of them. You could also be asked, where do you study, or what is the name of your college or university? And they might ask you, can you describe your field of study? So let's learn some great phrases and vocabulary that can help us to answer these types of questions. So the first one, I'm a year, so what year you're in, student of the subject at and the name of your university. For example, I'm a second year student of mathematics at the University of Melbourne. Or you could say, I'm doing an undergraduate or master's or doctorate degree in the subject area at the university, and I'm currently in my, and then you say which year. For example, I'm doing an undergraduate degree in computer science at Harvard, and I'm currently in my first year. Then the third phrase, the main focus of my degree is, and then you say the general area, and I'm planning to specialize in, and your specific area, if I have the chance. For example, the main focus of my degree is political science, and I'm planning to specialize in how elections are monitored if I have the chance. So let's see how those phrases could come together to answer one of these common questions. So this question is going to be, what are you currently studying? And our answer? I'm doing a 2 years master's degree in ancient history at UCL, and I'm currently in my first year. The main focus of my degree is Roman culture, and I'm planning to specialize in the cultural influence that Romans had on the Middle East if I have the chance. Overall, I'm still relatively new to the course, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Now, if you're preparing for your IELTS exam and you want to make sure to get as high a score as possible, we have a great course for you. It's our IELTS Complete Guide. It covers all 4 areas of the exam, reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and we update it every 4 months with the new IELTS speaking questions and answers. So whenever you take the IELTS exam, it's going to be fresh and ready to help you. You can find the link for that course in the description under the video. The second category is past and future decisions. First of all, past. So they could ask you, why did you choose to study that particular subject? Or they might say, were you always interested in that subject? And that's kind of the same question. Or about the future, they could say, how do your studies relate to your future career goals? Or, what are your future plans or aspirations related to your studies? Or they might say, do you think you'll work in that area after you graduate? So let's take a look at 4 phrases now. The first one, well, I'd always been a subject nut, that means you really like it, ever since I was a kid. I distinctly remember, and then some past activity, when I was, and then your age, and that passion just never went away. So A full sentence. Well, I'd always been a history nut ever since I was a kid. I distinctly remember going happily to museums with my parents when I was about 10 years old. And that passion just never went away. So that's the sentence you can give if you always knew what subject you wanted to study at university. But if you had no idea, you're a bit more like me, you can use this second sentence. To be honest, it was kind of a last-minute decision to take the subject. I was in the final year of, unlike your previous studying situation, so I knew I had to pick something to study at university, and the subject was just the one that caught my eye. And let's see a full sentence with the details. To be honest, it was kind of a last-minute decision to take physics. I was in the final year of high school, so I knew I had to pick something to study at university, and physics was just the one that caught my eye. So those are two phrases all about the past. Let's look at those ones about the future. So, the first one, I don't have a super clear idea of how my future is going to pan out. Pan out is a great phrase. It means like what's going to happen in my future. But I can definitely picture myself working in the area of, and your subject, for, and then a type of company, once I graduate. Once I graduate means like after I graduate. So, an example, I don't have a super clear idea of how my future is going to pan out. But I can definitely picture myself working in the area of digital marketing for a large multinational once I graduate. So that's the kind of phrase you can use if you're not too clear about your future. But if you're the kind of person who plans everything very carefully, then this next sentence is very good for you. So, my primary goal for the future is to finish, and then the current area, what you're doing now. And then, once that's done, move into, and then a new area. That could be in, and then you say one option, place or situation A, or, and then the other option, place or situation B. But I'm definitely planning to keep learning and developing in this area. So the example, my primary goal for the future is to finish my undergraduate degree in marketing, and then, once that's done, move into working for a fast-growing startup company. That could be in California or back home, but I'm definitely planning to keep learning and developing in this area. So let's see how we could use some of those phrases for a full answer. So the question is going to be, how do your studies relate to your future career goals? So, well, I'd always been a computer science nut ever since I was a kid. I distinctly remember learning to code when I was a teenager, and that passion just never went away. So my primary goal for the future is to finish my master's degree, and then once that's done, move into the world of AI. That could be in my own company or an existing company, but I'm definitely planning to keep learning and developing in this area. Category 3 is your day-to-day experience of studies. So let's see the questions first. Can you describe a typical day of studying for you? That's number 1. Or they might ask you, are there any challenges you've encountered in your studies? Or is there anything that you dislike about your studies? So those are the difficult things, the things you don't like. Or they might say, what do you most like about your studies? Or which part of the course do you enjoy the most? So let's take a look at 3 phrases we can use. The first one, so one of the main areas that I focus on in my major is, and then the area, that usually involves, and then you say activity A, but we also have the opportunity to, activity B, with, and then some kind of important person or a useful person. Let's see an example. So one of the main areas that I focus on in my major is how to manage people in a company. That usually involves attending lectures, but we also have the opportunity to visit companies and discuss real cases with HR managers at those companies. Then if we want to say something positive, something good about our major, we can say, I'd say my absolute favorite aspect of my major is, and then the good part, I like it because it gives me the opportunity to, and then an activity. And I feel that really helps me to deepen my understanding of the whole subject. So, for example, I'd say my absolute favorite aspect of my major is lab work, working in the laboratory. I like it because it gives me the opportunity to put the theories that I've learned into practice. And I feel that really helps me to deepen my understanding of the whole subject. And then if you want to talk about something you don't like, we can say, the part of my major that I really dread, it's like you fear it, you don't want to do it, but that is sadly unavoidable is, and then the bad area. I generally have to do that at least, and we say the frequency, how often, and it doesn't seem to get any easier with practice. So, example, the part of my major that I really dread, but that's sadly unavoidable, is writing essays. Very understandable. I generally have to do that at least once a month, and it doesn't seem to get any easier with practice. And let's see how we can use those in a full answer. So the question, can you describe a typical day of studying for you? So, one of the main areas that I focus on in my major is how to design marketing campaigns. That usually involves attending lectures, but we also have the opportunity to sit down one-to-one with our seminar leaders and discuss famous example cases from history. I like it because it gives me the opportunity to ask any questions that I have without the pressure of other people watching. And I feel that really helps me to deepen my understanding of the whole subject. So that's how you could answer that question and get a band 9 in your IELTS speaking test. If you want to get the list of the questions, the phrases, and the full answers, there is a link under the video. All of it is available on our website. So go and check that out now. Remember, if you are preparing for your IELTS exam, we've got that great course, the IELTS Complete Guide. The link is down here. We also have great material here on YouTube. We have a playlist preparing you for the IELTS speaking exam. So make sure to check that out up here. And also remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you found it useful. My name's Francis. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck in your IELTS exam. See you next time.